So fun. After having both quarter panels on and doing a little adjusting on these rear parts of the quarter panel to fit to the trunk lid, I was also not liking the way that this outer wheel well was connecting to the quarter panel. So in this area right in here, it was fitting here, all the way to about midway here, and then it had probably an 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch gap that went in this area right here between this lip and the quarter panel. First I was like, I'll just shoot some screws in there and pull it tight, but when I would take a pair of vice grips and kind of squeeze on it a little bit, it was distorting this line right here. So I didn't want to, I want the quarter panel to kind of set on there naturally and not have no distortion in it like that. So what I done was I've released the outer section from the inner section, and I left the inner section bolted where it was, and I'm going to put the quarter panel back on now and try to move this around where it fits here better. If it's just a matter of pulling it down just a little bit, or what the story is going to be, I just want to try to make it fit better here, whether it's moving it this direction, moving it back this direction. I'll let you know what happens. Okay, so after taking it back off, still good here. Have to address that gap later. Still good there. Still good there. The gap back here is still nice. I was able to, let me see how I do this. There we go. I was able to readjust this. Got it down flat here, which closed up my gap across here. Now it's a tight fit up in here. But now my gap is nice all the way around. So I'm good there. I went ahead and locked it in place here and here, and then across this back. Let me blow it up a little bit here. Locked it in place across the back here. Locked it in place right there in the front. Now I'm going to pull the quarter back off and then lock the two pieces together where they need to be. So this will be the final time off for welding in the inner structure. Yeah, this one's missing the the piece right there, so it's hard to get loose. Yeah. Here, hold on a minute. There. Yeah, I need to put that thing in the trash, but I don't like throwing stuff away. You guys know that. But anyways, so this should be the last time the quarter panel has to come off. So I will be setting it up front up here so I can get the inner part of it scuffed and ready for paint. Okay, I'll get back with you. So, very important tool in the sheet metal bodyworking industry is that. I had one when I was working at the appliance store over there, and it was one of my tools that I left when I stopped working there. So I've been wanting to get another one for a long time. I went ahead and picked up this one. It's a 10-ton press, so it should have no problems. The other day I was out here and I was trying to tweak this all out a little bit this way for my gaps in here to fit better, and I was using my old railroad jack, which is really a pain, laying it up here, trying to hold it, putting some 4x4 blocks in between. You could only imagine how awkward that was when you had a block on each end and then a huge railroad jack in there trying to jack this apart. So went ahead and ordered that, and I don't know how many more times in my life I will use it, but I have it. And so now I'm going to use it to try to make sure my gaps are super nice on the trunk lid before I go and start welding stuff in place. I got the tack welds off of here. I moved this one over about that far, and they ended up really nice on the gaps, but they wasn't perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the tack welds from that side also, and that way I won't have to take this much out on one side. I'll be able to take like maybe half of it out and then take the other half out on that side. That way I'm not getting any of this in a bind, and everything's still going to fit nice. I mean, it's just a matter of 1/8 of an inch on each side to make it nice. So that's why I got that. So I'll be messing around trying to get that on there, get that deck lid back on there, and make sure that them gaps are nice. I don't want to lock anything down until I ended up with this lip being super nice and tight, so I don't have to worry about this tweaking or anything if I put screws in through here. That happy day to get that done. And then I will pull this quarter panel off for the final time. I know you've heard that a lot, but this will be the final time pulling it off and painting it on the inside like I done that one over there. I'll be able to lock all this inner structure in. Moving on. Meth head moves. You guys might not think it's funny, but I did. So anyways, meth head moves. So I was like, well, you know what? Get ready to put this trunk lid back on here. But I haven't got the hinge on that side, but I got the hinge on this side. So I probably could put the hinge back on that side, but where's the hinge? It's not in here. Like, okay, well, maybe I left it in my bucket. So I come over here. Like, yeah, it's probably in the bucket. So I'm like, oh, well, shoot, I got all these parts on here. Dang it, I gotta get all these parts off here. So then I start moving boxes. I move this box down here. And I was gonna take this box and put it on top of it, but then this box opened up. So I was like, oh, well, shoot, I need tape so I can tape that shut. So, well, I think the tape's in here. So I go in here, start looking for the tape. I'm like, man, tape's not in here. Where could it be? Oh, what a mess. So I start cleaning up in here. Start getting the mess cleaned up and everything. And I was like, oh, I haven't told you guys about the rear end parts. So I was like, oh, well, I don't want them to see my big mess in here. So clean up your mess. So I cleaned up my mess. And then I pulled the pig up out of the bucket over there. Okay, cool. Got the pig up out of here. And I was like, all right, I'll show them the pig and tell them, look. So as simultaneously, while I'm working on the charger, I'm going to work on this too. So this has got like a, if I remember right, it was like a 430 gear or something like that on it when I got it used from a guy. And the center was, everything was rusted. So I dropped it into some evaporust for a week or so and then pulled it out and cleaned it all back up. But I'm not going to be using that gear. 430 is too much for my stock motor. So I ordered some pretties. So I got a hold of Dr. Diff, the guy I always go through, and I ordered a ring and pinion for it. But that was before I pulled the yoke off. So I was like, oh, well, there's two different ones on here for the 489 case. You got your 29 spline, yeah, and then you got your 10 spline. I was like, ah, shit, it's probably the 29. So I ordered it. Well, yeah, that's not the same. So anyways, so we solved the problem. And I just went ahead and ordered a new pinion yoke to fit this pinion. But I already had this from Dr. Differential a while back. I bought it from him. It's a new track lock unit, the new clutches. So while I was ordering the new pinion yoke, I went ahead and ordered a bearing kit and everything to put this together. But I don't have a good place to do it, so I think I'm going to find something that I could put on my bench here so that it overhangs the bench and I can work on it easily, because these things ain't light. But anyways, that was my crackhead move. So anyways, meth smoker move, should I say, not crackhead. So I did all this and everything, and I forgot, well, I was looking for the hinge for the trunk and the tape. So finally find the tape. Yeah, get the tape. Getting ready to do that. I got the tape in my hand. I pulled a piece off. Got to talking to you guys, and guess what? I done crumbled up the piece of tape sitting there talking to you guys. So I'm back to this. I'm going to put the tape on the box, And I'm going to move all this stuff off of here, and I'm going to find my trunk hinge. I'm going to put it back on there, and then I'm going to reinstall the trunk so that I could take that and widen the back of the trunk area out. Okay, so that's all for now. I'll get back with you. Night night. So can't stress this enough. Doesn't matter if you have to take the quarter panel off 20 times, if you have to open and close your deck lid 90 times, do it. Because once you start locking stuff in place, you can't come back and make it right without having to go through a lot of work of cutting out welds, and it just won't be as nice of a product when you're done. I made these as nice as I can with my gaps. I basically ended up, you can see where the little rust spot is behind there. That's how far over I had to go to make it line up, which not very much, but that little bit on this side and a little bit on the other side opened it up. You guys saw what it was like before. It was almost closed off back here, but now we got nice gap front to back. This gap's a little off, but it's good on this side and wide on that side, which ain't a big deal because I'd rather add to it because you don't really want to take away. So it's a matter of welding a rod across there, like a TIG welding rod, and then grinding it back to where you need. But anyways, like I was saying, it don't matter if you need to take it off 1 or 90 times. Just stay after it. You see it's a little wider on this side, which ain't a big deal. Like I said, we could just add to it. For the gaps front to back though, we're good. This needs a little adjustment in. It's kicked out here just a little bit, but that's just unscrewing it, kind of giving it a little twist and then tighten it back up. Gap's pretty good here. I ended up having to push up on this section here because it was at an angle, so it was wider at the bottom than it was the top. But after pushing up on it here, I was able to shoot my screws in and set it where it needed to be. As you can see, that's how far it had to move over on this side to get that gap. Like I said, that's just a little adjustment of this pop metal end cap. 3 screws, turn it, and it's done. But anyways, this is the nicer of the 2 deck lids I have on the skin. The skin is super nice. Bottom side's in bad condition, but like I said, I'll just cut what I need off of that one because it's in decent shape on the bottom. So like this corner, will need to be coming off of there. Same thing on the other side. Anyways, so all this is lined up. Both sides. Trunk lid looks great now. I think I showed you guys up under here. That's all lined up now. So I'm going to pull the quarter panel off, set it up here on the front end of the car, and then I can go ahead and tack all my inner structure, get it all welded in and tacked in, and then the next time the quarter panel goes on, it will be going on for real. Anyways, almost done with the back side of the car. Well, sheet metal wise, I'll be done. Still got a lot of body work to do. Oh God, that's gonna be fun. Anyways, I'll get back with you. Disclaimer, I don't claim to be a professional at any of this. If you take my advice, you take my advice. If you don't, you don't. But I don't use Clecos because I just don't have any. But I do use screws to locate everything. As you can see, it's all located where it needs to be. The inner trunk gutter. This nice and smooth. Gutter. 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 So that lines all this up to the quarter panel. Wheel well. Screws through there. There'll be couple screws go through that to put it in place. And then everywhere there's a screw will be welded. Let's see if I can get the light to come on. Here you go. So there's my inner wheel well. Now we'll grind on the back of each of those and put the weld through primer there on each one. And then here's my outer lip. Each one of those will be a weld spot. Anyways, that's how I did the Duster, and it makes 550 horsepower, 608 foot-pounds of torque, and I haven't had anything come apart on it yet. Knock on wood. Except for mechanical. I put a transmission out of it, took the fourth gear out, but sheet metal wise, the floors, the roll cage, the frame connectors, all this trunk panel, both quarter panels, and I haven't had any problems out of my welding or anything coming apart. So anyways, just wanted to say that, and like I said, if you take any of my advice, cool. If you don't, you don't have to. But this is the way I like to do it, and it's gonna get done. Thanks for watching. Night night. So on today's agenda, I'm going to scuff the back of this here. Attempt to make this piece fit better. Got my weld through primer on, so I'm going to start attaching these inner pieces. Started removing the stickers. Them came off fine. This one here decided it doesn't want to leave yet. It's okay. Anyways, that's the plan. Start tacking, sanding, get done whatever I can today, and maybe shoot some primer. If I make it far enough, I'll shoot some primer and stuff on all this stuff tomorrow, hopefully, and maybe some paint, and get the quarter panel line back up on here for the final time to weld in place. And I'll have a few things back here left to do, like that, right here in your face. And then I think what I want to do is I want to set this on my stand out there, and I'm going to pour a vapor rust, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to pour it in there and let it sit in there and soak. And then once it's soaked for a couple of days or whatever, rinse it out, and then I'll take that Eastwood spray with the hose and stick it down in there and all these holes and spray as much as I can of that spray up in the trunk area. Anyways, that's where I'm at. We turn on the old welder. Night night. So, because I'm not perfect, far from it, never claimed to be. When I was drilling the quarter panel off, I didn't have room in here, so I decided to go through the back side. Mistake, I shouldn't have done that. So, ended up with a bunch of holes here, and then eventually I'm going to be having to put the quarter panel against that, and then you can't weld it from the back side. So yeah, so my solution for that was I found a bolt that fit about tight as I could inside of there, and then I took my cutting wheel and sliced me some little metal plugs, because I don't want to sit and try to weld holes closed. Just a tack at a time, plus it probably overheat it and warp it. So yeah, I took a bolt, a little cut off wheel, and I just start cutting me some little plugs. So got my little magnet here. put a plug on my magnet. And let it plug in and tack it shut. That was my only solution for this problem, and I won't have to use a ton of wire closing off these holes. So there I go. And this is the end result of my wafers. You can see a couple of little wafers there, but it was the plan to get that where it's ready to receive the quarter panel on it. I'll shoot some weld-through primer on it, and I got all my welds in, got them all dressed out. So when it really starts scuffing all this up, I can shoot some epoxy primer on all of it. I'm gonna still paint the pour 15 in here, a little bit in there, and then a little bit down in here, a little bit back in here. You really can't get to. I'll paint some pour 15 on that. Any place that there's kind of thick rust, not rust but surface rust, I'll paint a little of the pour 15 on it with a brush before I shoot any epoxy primer on. I'll get back with you. Night night. And just like that, got all the back side of the quarter scuffed. Got the weld-through primer on. I'll have to tape that all off before I shoot some epoxy primer on the back side. Got this all scuffed. All the shinies off of it. Got that repaired. All the holes from the spot weld remover. And I believe I already showed you that. That's the back side of where I put my little slices off of my bolt to repair the inside of that. I still need to shoot some primer on that too. I will do that while I'm thinking about it. Let it get dry. Got this bottom down a little bit there. Nope, probably should do it too. I think, yeah, I already got that part. Got all the areas are going to be welded underneath there for the lip. So, inner structure's already welded in. Let that dry up. And I'm going to go ahead and start cleaning up my mess. Anyway, whenever I squirt the primer on, I don't have a huge mess and metal dust flying everywhere. So, time to clean up. I'll be back. I don't know how many of you, I don't know what it's called. I don't know if it's the ADHD or some kind of other something, who knows what it is, but that you plan to do something. Like earlier today, I was going to scuff everything up. Once it got scuffed up, I was going to clean up my mess and then paint some Pour 15 on and then shoot some epoxy primer. So that was the goal that I set out to do. And then I got to the cleaning part of it, and you know, I was just gonna move some stuff around, put some tools back up, you know, kind of clean up my mess, sweep stuff up. Well, 3 freaking hours later, it's clean. So then I'm like, well, you know what? I need to go find my Pour 15 so I can paint it on that sections back there that I need to paint it on. And then I was, after cleaning one section, then you see another section, you're like, oh, well, shit, this needs cleaned up too. I don't know what it's called, but I got it. Have to clean this up. Have to clean this up. Have to line all my vice grips up, and they gotta be in order. Put my hammers with my hammers, my electric tools with my electric tools, my air tools with air tools, blah, 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 blah. Make sure all the sandpaper's together. Clean. Well, you know what? It doesn't feel clean enough. Clean some more. Clean some more. Clean some more. And then I'm like, oh, well, you know what? I need to find that Pour 15 again. So I'm over here and I'm in my chemical bin that I keep all my chemicals in. And I'm looking for a can of Pour 15. I'm not seeing it. So I go in the house, I search around in the house. Still not seeing it. And I thought in my head, I was like, you know what? When that came in, you shook the box and was like, oh, I know what this is. So, yeah, there it is. Still in the box. So there's my Pour 15. This is all scuffed up. Got my weld-through primer on the places that need to be. Got my light area taped off, which I don't know why I done that. Because I don't need to tape it off until I put the primer on. Anyway, so yeah, I found this can. But I think it's solid. But anyways, back to this. So I'll get back with you. I gotta clean up that spot of whatever it was that poured out. But I think I'm ready to shoot some primer on besides cleaning that up, because here goes my whatever the hell you want to call it kicking in again, and I know I got to get that cleaned up. So there I go. I'll be doing that. I'll get back with you. Night night. Well, today in the garage I'm going to get some primer going. Already warmed it up in here. Yeah, panels are warm. Yeah, everything up to temperature. There's 415 on. Let it dry overnight. Yep. Get some epoxy mixed up. I'll be back. Alright, this is where I'm at with it. Got the epoxy primer on the back of the quarter panel. And I'll be spraying the rock guard on once it gets dry, where I can put some tape off the lines. That way I don't get rock guard on everything. I tape off the light section there. And this is what I'm using, stone guard. Kind of like I did on this side here. You can see where the line is, where the rock guard is. Same way up here. The rock guard stops here. This ain't rock guarded, just from here to the, basically in between the body lines. You know, tape off that, put rock guard on it, but it's like 13 degrees out, so I'm gonna, like 70 degrees when I shot this all on. I went inside for a while and let it clear up out here, and it dropped down to about 50. So I'm going to warm it back up in here to about 70 again. And then let all this stuff set and dry. I probably won't mess with it again in the mall because I got to get some more tape. And tape off these lines. And then this is the structure. Got the shooting the epoxy on. Where I'm at. One step closer. I'll shoot that rock guard on, let it dry for a while, and then I'll shoot color on this section here, the intersection. Not so much here, I ain't worried about that, I can shoot that later. But down here, all of this, I will shoot some color on all of it, all the way around, all of that, put some of the color on. I wasn't worried about the inner part here or this, because I can do that later when I do the trunk, when I paint the whole trunk. That over there's got to be redone anyways, re-sanded anyways. I got it all ready to go back in place and tacked in place, but I can't tack that, and I can't tack this mount in until I get the quarter panel all set back on. Close the trunk lid, make sure the trunk lid is going to fit right, and then I'll probably go from the inside of the car and tack them in place while the trunk lid is down in its down position. That way I know they'll be right where they need to be, both sides. Alright, been real and fun. I can't say it's been real fun. 66. Don't feel like it. Woo-wee. Feel like a 90 in here. Okay, enjoy. Night night.